Recently I made a video saying most tier 8 ships were pointless because you can get a legendary ship by researching it in the bureau instead of grinding for it. Now I stand by that video, but I will say there's another tier 8 ship that is a lot of fun and different than its legendary tier counterpart. The St. Louis was buffed a couple updates ago back in March and has been a damage monster ever since. Currently, if I ever feel like putting up big damage numbers, this is the ship I play. I have mine set up for basically all DPM, however we're using the rudder shift module here in slot 3. This ship has a bad rudder shift time and bad concealment, so take your pick which one you would rather buff, but this plays into my playstyle a little more since I tend to be aggressive towards the end of matches. Otherwise, we're using a free-to-play commander and free-to-play inspirations with Lemonier, Makawa, and Mimbelli. Worth pointing out, I really like Fixated on this ship, and this guy's only level 14, that's kind of sad. I've been really unlucky with his commendations, apparently it looks like, but anyways, Fixated. I feel like French dispersion on these cruisers at longer range is especially bad if you're farming, 14, 15, 16 kilometers or more. So I like having Fixated. A lot of other players, if they had it, they would say Azerlane St. Louis is better. And she is a really, really good commander, don't get me wrong, but I don't like missing out on that accuracy, even though you do get some really busted reload boosters. So for the purposes of this video and you guys, we are free to play today. In this Smallland video, my biggest argument was that you could get the tier 8 Smallland. Yes, you have to do a lot of grinding for it instead of just waiting for it to research in the bureau. But you get a radar out of the deal, and that makes it unique and almost better than the legendary tier component. St. Louis and Henry, they're really, really different ships. I know the Henry is supposed to be just a bigger, better version of it, but they're so different that the St. Louis is still unique and fun. Honestly, this ship here at tier 8 feels more potent to me than the Henry. Henry's fun, don't get me wrong. If you're interested in learning more about that cruiser, at the end of this I will link a video about it. But Henry is just so big and lumbering. She has bigger guns, yeah, but they reload slower. She's more heavily armored, yes, but she maneuvers like a battleship. I love the 30mm plating on the upper belt of Henry. It's really fun to bully Montanas. St. Louis doesn't have the heavy armor, but I feel like she keeps a little bit more of her mobility. A small turning circle that's really fun, and we're going to put it to use early on with my favorite little maneuver, and that is just to slam on the brakes and turn in or turn out to dodge battleship salvos. We're going to keep a really close eye on this Heezen over here. My spidey senses are tingling. So yeah, we'll shoot the Ohio, maybe another salvo or two, but I'm always watching that Heezen, and that's why I love this overview camera. As soon as Heezen lights up over there, and we can tell that he fired, then we need to start maneuvering right about meow. Maneuver quickly, turn out, slam on the brakes, and that's kind of how we're going to play these opening segments. It's cool to be behind cover and to be safe, yes, but also doing things like that wastes enemy battleship salvos and it tanks damage for your team. Not a bad strategy. Let's go dark here, and then we'll use our speed to move out to the flank a little bit farther. But yeah, the St. Louis with this super fast reload, this ship can just put up the damage. My playstyle with this ship early game is definitely farming from long range and trying to stay alive. This Heezen, he's still looking for us, but he's not going to get the chance. We're going to go move into cover. A lot of ships, a lot of battleship mains, they lose interest and they'll go and focus on something else. And so that's what we're going to do. We'll not give this guy the salvo and we'll go head over here to some cover. Sometimes if you're ever wondering, what should I do in a ship or how should I play this ship? Just think to yourself, what would red team hate if I did? What would be the most annoying thing that I could possibly do? And in this situation, it is absolutely heading out to the flank. We'll get crossfire shots on all of these guys, and if the Heezen, the Schlieffen, the Petro, any of those guys want to come and dislodge me, they're going to have to come all the way over here and do it. In the meantime, yeah, we're moving up this flank. We're kind of spotting for our team because our other ships that spawned with me, they're sitting in spawn. So this is the perfect thing to do, at least I feel like. A lot of battleships, they might ignore you, like this Ohio and the Heezen later on. and that can be pretty deadly. I'm guilty of this too. You're in a battleship, you're focused on other things, or in the case of this Ohio, man, you're just way too overextended and there's nothing you can really do. But you get in a situation in a battleship where you're focused on one thing and you're getting farmed from somewhere else, but it's only 3 or 4K salvos, so you feel like, that's fine, I'll deal with that in a minute. Well, that can really add up. And yeah, in the case of St. Louis being left alone on a flank like this, it's going to be very deadly for the red team. So we're going to use this island perfectly to farm out this heathen. Luckily, he is spotted for us, and that is beautiful, so we don't have to risk our health anymore at this time. French cruisers, they're really... oh, it's so hard to say. It's probably my favorite cruiser line in the game because you can basically do anything you want. If you play IJN cruisers and Brit cruisers, they're so fragile. You have to be careful. You use smoke, stealth, or you dodge. American cruisers, they're not very fast, and they also have slow shell velocity, so you want to play in close to caps and behind islands. French cruisers, you can do whatever the F you want. You can do all of the above. You can brawl, you can play in the open water because they're fast and generally agile, and they have the magic armor that we'll talk about here later. So I just love these ships because they're so dynamic. Like I mentioned in March, this ship was buffed. The HP was brought up to 44,000, which still isn't a ton, but it's good. And the upgraded main battery reload was brought down to 7.5 seconds, and that is pretty quick for 203mm guns. Not Tulsa or Salem fast, but still pretty fast. And the fire chance is 1% higher than those American ships, so it makes this one of the best fire starting cruisers at the tier. And if you use the reload booster correctly, the best fire starting cruiser at the tier. Set a fire, wait for a battleship main to get pissy and blow a damage con, and then hit the reload booster and follow up. Just looking at the DPM numbers, St. Louis is in 5th place after Seattle, Sejong, Salem, Buffalo. That's for the HE. So the ship is no slouch. Now the AP is no slouch either, and we probably could have been using it more. Let's see what this salvo does here against Heathen. It'll probably finish him off. Well, maybe that wasn't the best aimed. We did get 2 shatters still. So definitely switch back and forth between the two, but the AP penetration is good and the velocity is also pretty good. We did take a pretty nasty hit from the Heathen there. So this ship, I feel like it has a big freeboard, and so if you're not careful and you give up too much side, you can definitely get punished. The Citadel also is above the water, so you have to be careful. The other good parts about the armor though, it has a spaced armor section between the outer hull and the Citadel. So a lot of it is just this kind of magical area that doesn't take any damage, and it's especially effective against British light cruisers, of which, hey, there's a Neptune. Since Petro is giving us flat broadside, we're going to go ahead and push in aggressively. The Schlieffen is not at a point where he can do anything, so yeah, I'm kind of going to bum rush both of these guys. Now, it might not have been the smartest thing because Neptune is super dangerous, but I feel like Petro's low enough that we can pull this off. And again, Neptune, your kryptonite is St. Louis. Because of the short fused armor-piercing shells, you can literally park 2 kilometers away from a St. Louis and shoot at it with the Neptune, and you're not going to reach the Citadel because the shells detonate before they get there. Also, this AP is devastating. Neptune's getting lucky, but he won't for much longer. There we go. The AP is just brutal. We're gonna barely survive this. I feel like the Schlieffen did come out the other side, and that was kind of dangerous. I'm glad he wasn't looking this way. He could have finished us off. But you can see, this ship is a pretty decent brawler. The torp firing angles forward are really good. Oh boy, let's dodge these torpedoes. All right, we're fine. We're not using the sonar because of course we're using the main battery reload booster. You have to give up sonar in order to get that, but hey, it's a unique feature of these French cruisers, so I would absolutely recommend giving up the sonar for it. Yeah, it's kind of rough sometimes, like we could have easily ate that Neptune torpedo and died, but we didn't. We didn't. It makes it a little harder to hunt destroyers, but for me, you know, it's just a different flavor. It's something different. Every cruiser, you know, you use sonar and yeah, it gets kind of vanilla, I suppose. So maybe consider it a challenge or, just something different. The reload booster, it gives you a 50% boost for 15 seconds. And since we have fully packed on here, we get 3 a game. St. Louis also gets a 20% speed boost when you hit it. It makes this one of the fastest cruisers at the tier, brings you up to just under 40 knots without a speed flag or a commander. Let's see if we can get this Carl Johan here for the Kraken, because we are in the hunt right now. The downsides of the ship: bad concealment, bad rudder, or AA. But if you can live with those, hey, you have a damaged monster here that is a lot of fun. As we pull the Kraken, there is one more ship. It's a destroyer, St. Louis Kryptonite. But let's see if we can move up and deal with him. This camo, by the way, is the Azur Lane camo. There is no permanent historical camo for St. Louis. So yeah, this is probably one of my favorite camos in the game. Honestly, I think it looks really good. I love the gold and the purples. I like the one for Azuma. I like the one for Neptune. There's a lot of good Azur Lane camos out there. But yeah, St. Louis, right now, one of my favorite damage farming ships in the game. And if you kind of learn her little quirks, you can have a lot of fun. There are some other tier 8 ships that I do feel like are worth grinding, and maybe I should make that a series. There's not a lot of them, but there are a few. Petro, that would probably come up to the top of my list. I think that is a super fun cruiser that you can get at tier 8, that it's just a different flavor than the Stalingrad at legendary tier, and that makes it pretty fun. I'm not sure what other ships would make the list. Most of the ships I come to and I'm just thinking, well, I would rather go play the more powerful version of it. Z46 and Z52, yeah, why not play the more powerful version of it? Buffalo is really good and fun at tier 8, but hey, I would much rather play the Des Moines. And here is the last ship. We're gonna see if we can blind fire him. Look at the accuracy without without being locked on. It is pretty bad. And again, maybe it's just me, but I really feel like having fixated is helpful. We get 2 shell hits there, and our Begonia figures out where to hit him to, and that is that. Let me know what you guys think of the St. Louis. I would love to hear from you. This is Derka signing off. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.